But now I'm just excited. I'm excited to see her, excited to hold her.
I knew she would come home.
We love you, Megan! We miss you! We've been here with you, mommy!
Relatives of 3 women reacted with joy at the news that their loved ones had been found alive after they had been missing for a decade. Police in Cleveland rescued the women last night after one of the women managed to open a window at the home where they were being kept, and she screamed for help. Dave Perry is a former Toronto police detective sergeant who's led the city's sexual assault squad and sex crimes unit. He's joining us this morning with his thoughts on this remarkable case. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I think the first question on everyone's minds is, how did this man, how did he get away with having these 3 women in his house without anyone suspecting anything for years?
He obviously did a really good job of confinement, and that's what these kind of predators' behavior is all about. So he selected these women. I saw a map early this morning of where each one of the victims disappeared from. It looked like about a 1 or a 2 city block radius.
It was close to this house.
Very close to the house. But more importantly, typical predatory behavior, just looking at the map where he hunts in a certain area, and these girls were all picked up or at least went missing from an area that's confined by perhaps a couple of city blocks. That's typical sexual behavior. And more importantly, somebody who's sort of at this level of predatory behavior has also done his homework in terms of getting his home prepared, having it as a confinement quarters for these 3 women. Thankfully, these cases are very rare where people are confined for such a lengthy time, but when you have 3 women who are all being confined for such a long period of time, somebody's done a lot of planning to get this ready.
What does this tell us about the police investigation that, as you point out, these women were abducted, at least 2 of them, very close to this house where they were discovered? Were mistakes made?
Well, who knows? Any police investigation, typically there are going to be mistakes made. What the police should have realized back in perhaps 2003 and 2004 is that they had potentially a predator operating in one area, abducting women. We had 3 women go missing. When you look at the map, it draws your mind to the fact that you probably have one single person responsible for the disappearance of these women, because women just don't vanish off the streets. When they start to, we have to get very concerned, and when they start to in a pattern like this, we have to have a look and wonder what kind of a serial predator we have operating in the area.
So we've heard that frantic 911 call. What does that tell you about the conditions of their captivity? And I'm also wondering why, after 10 years, they were able to alert the public, at least one of these women. Did this person slip up in?
Probably, and what it tells me by listening to that 911 tape is that the accused, he did a very good job of confining these women. Nobody in the neighborhood knew that these women were living there. This woman, Amanda, couldn't get out of the house alone. She had to scream for help and get neighbors to assist her. So clearly this house was designed to hold women captive, and that was obviously done through some tremendous planning and efforts. What you're probably going to see in a house like this is all kinds of evidence of restraint. There will be chains, there will be all kind of binding material. This guy will likely be determined to be a sadistic sexual offender, which means he probably is involved in things like torture and totally dominating his women. And that's through confinement and sexual acts. They're probably going to find videotape recordings and evidence that these women have been abused for the past 10 years.
Just quickly, how often does it happen that women who are kidnapped or go missing are found?
It's extremely rare, and as we know, history will tell us that we have hours at best when women are abducted for a sexual purpose to get them back safely. So this is a miracle.
Dave Perry, thank you so much for being with us this morning.